Emma, this is all your fault.
Violet, what are you talking about? How is this my fault?
It's your fault because my husband divorced me. I won't let you deny it either. You'll take responsibility for this and I'll make sure of it.
What? What on earth are you saying?
Don't pretend you don't know what I mean. I'm making you take responsibility for everything that's happened.
Responsibility?
The fact that my husband found out about the affair, it's all your fault. You have to make this right by introducing me to a man who makes $100,000 a year.
Wait a second, let me remind you of how everything went down. The whole thing about your husband finding out about your affair? Well, it all started when I was walking through the shopping mall with my husband, Phil, and your husband happened to spot us from a distance. He mistook me for you because of our similar build. That's when he became suspicious and hired a private investigator. Wasn't that the case?
Yes, that's right. It wasn't even a close encounter.
We had only met your husband once at my wedding, so there was no reason for him to recognize me from a distance. He couldn't have known it was me, but after he realized the mistake, he apologized to your husband for the confusion. However, in the end, it turned out that you were the one having an affair with a classmate you reconnected with at the reunion. So how is that my fault?
Look, no matter how you try to spin this, it's clearly your fault. You were the one who got me mistaken for you. If you hadn't been so misleading, my husband wouldn't have been confused in the first place. It's your fault for putting me in that position. Not only that, you also happened to go to the shopping mall at the same time as my husband. That's also your fault.
Well, hold on a second. The main issue here is that you were the one who cheated in the first place. If you hadn't cheated, none of this would have come out in the open, would it? The blame falls squarely on you.
If you hadn't been seen by my husband, there would have been no way for him to find out about the affair, and none of this would have happened. So yes, it's absolutely your fault. You're the one to blame, not me. Now hurry up and introduce me to a man who makes $100,000 a year. Once I start a relationship with him, I'll make sure he helps me pay for my husband's alimony.
This is ridiculous. You're seriously asking me to do that for you? You don't have much time left until the alimony deadline, so you better hurry up and do something about it. I don't care about your problems. Take care of it yourself.
If you won't help me, then I'll just take your husband instead.
What?
Phil is so good looking, isn't he? And he's clearly a successful guy, right? Clearly he's way too good for you. I'll take him off your hands.
You really don't understand anything, do you? Why don't you just get a job and work to pay for things yourself?
It's clear you're too stubborn to let a man take care of you. How pathetic.
Oh, I see. Violet, you're just impossible. I've had enough of this.
What do you mean?
Well, I've got some things going on in my life too, you know. I can't afford to waste any more time dealing with you right now. For my own mental health, I've decided that I need to distance myself from you more than ever. I'm sorry, but I can't deal with you anymore. Goodbye.
I knew it. I'm a genius. I guess I'm a master of romance too. Or maybe both, huh? Hey, Emma. You know Phil? Well, he's mine now. Right now we're at a hotel with a name that starts with R, getting all cozy.
What? What's going on here? Wait, what are you even doing?
I'm telling you, I took Phil for myself. So you better hurry up and get a divorce and hand over Phil to me.
Fine, I'll give you Phil.
Huh? Are you really going to give him to me?
Well, I'm not really in a position to say that anymore.
Huh? Oh, I see. That's a declaration of defeat toward me, huh?
If you want to take it that way, go ahead. Honestly, I don't even care anymore. But I do have one question for you.
What is it?
Why did you target Phil? I can't imagine you'd go after him just because he's good looking. That part's really strange.
Well, it's because you never introduced me to a guy with an annual income of $100,000, no matter how long I waited. So to make you fulfill that responsibility, I decided to take Phil, who's a handsome guy earning $150,000 a year.
Huh? Phil makes $150,000 a year?
That's amazing, right? He works for a big company, Company A, and became a manager at 29, right? With that kind of status, he's perfect to be my new husband.
Phil's actually unemployed.
What?
Actually, I'm the one working at Company A, and I became a manager at 29 too.
What about the $150,000 a year?
Well, that $150,000 was probably the household income from about 2 years ago when Phil was still working and his father was still employed. Though to be fair, half of that income was from my salary.
Wait, why is Phil unemployed?
Phil used to work for a subsidiary of Company A, but about 6 months ago, his affair with an office clerk there was exposed.
What?
It wasn't like he got fired or anything, but after I found out, being married to the wife at the parent company made things awkward for him. He ended up resigning voluntarily about 3 months ago, around the same time I divorced him.
What? You divorced him 3 months ago? Wait, what? Huh?
Yeah, I divorced Phil 3 months ago. It was right around the time you were begging for Phil. Oh, speaking of which, wasn't it an office clerk from the subsidiary of Company A who Phil had an affair with?
Hey, wait a minute. Could it be?
Oh, you realized that too, huh? It was our cousin Rachel?
Yeah.
Can you believe it? Phil went after Rachel of all people. Rachel knew he was my husband, but I guess since he was her first boyfriend in her 20s, she was stubborn and wouldn't back down. It wasn't until I demanded alimony that she realized the gravity of what she had done. She paid the alimony, resigned from her job, and moved far away.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I should probably tell you this too, since it's indirectly related to you.
What now?
Remember how your ex-husband mistook me for you when he saw me walking with Phil at the mall? Well, the me he saw wasn't me. It was Rachel.
Huh?
I guess it's because Rachel looks so much like both of us that people mistake us for 3 sisters when we walk together. By the way, I wasn't even there that day because I had other things to do. When I found out and looked into it, I discovered that Phil and Rachel were having an affair. And that's how it all unfolded.
I can't believe this.
It all started because your ex-husband mistook me for you.
What is all this?
So, after my divorce, when you declare that you got the husband, well, I don't really care anymore, so go ahead and enjoy yourselves.
Wait, hold on. This is all so overwhelming, but one thing's for sure. Phil has no money at all, and he doesn't even have a way to make money.
That's right. He was always bad with saving money, so after paying me alimony, he hardly has anything left.
What the hell?
So taking Phil away didn't even matter at all.
Why didn't you tell me sooner?
Well, I never thought you'd go after an unemployed man. I mean, we were already divorced at that point, right?
That's just awful, Emma!
It's because all you ever think about is making men pay alimony. You could have found a job in 3 months, but instead, you've just been doing all this crazy stuff.
What should I do? There are only 3 days left before the alimony payment deadline. He went and abandoned me.
That's a misunderstanding.
Huh?
Well, whatever. It seems like that's not the main topic anyway. By the way, wasn't today the deadline for the alimony payment? Could it be that's what you're talking about?
Yep, exactly. It's unbelievable, really. He made me his wife and paid all the alimony for me. Can you believe that? He didn't even hesitate. And then out of nowhere, a guy appeared who said he fell in love with me at first sight.
Did you meet him?
I haven't met him in person yet, but if he's willing to pay all my alimony up front without a second thought, he must be incredibly wealthy, right? That's the kind of person who could definitely save me from this huge crisis I'm in. I'm pretty sure he's going to be the one to rescue me. He's my Prince Charming, and he'll swoop in to save me, no doubt about it. I just know he's got to be a handsome, amazing guy who's totally perfect for me.
I think you might be setting yourself up for a bit of disappointment here.
Huh? Are you jealous? Well, I guess it can't be helped. After all, from this massive crisis I'm in, I'm about to get swept up and become the miracle celebrity wife living in a life of luxury. It's not something anyone would expect, but hey, that's what's about to happen.
Ugh. I really think it would have been better if you had just worked for yourself, don't you think?
And jealousy is totally acceptable. Feel free to be as envious as you want. I'm fine with it. Oh, and by the way, I already sent the marriage registration yesterday, so by now it should have already been submitted to the office.
Huh?
And right now I'm on my way to my future husband's mansion to move in. Can you believe it? I'm about to become a celebrity wife. I'm about to be born anew, living a life of wealth and privilege. This is it, my new beginning.
I don't want to hear any complaints if things end up going wrong, though.
Emma, help me!
What's wrong now? I thought you were busy celebrating your new life as a celebrity wife. I figured you were probably sitting in a huge living room in your mansion, holding a glass of wine, toasting with your new husband, living the dream. You know, enjoying all the luxuries that come with it. Sounds like a perfect picture, doesn't it?
It wasn't a mansion, just a regular house.
Wait, so all that stuff you were talking about was just your imagination running wild? I see. Classic.
But hey, you must have known about all of this, right? I heard that the marriage proposal actually came to you right after your divorce. But the job he had was too far away, so you didn't want to quit your current one, and that's why you turned him down. At least, that's what I heard.
Oh, so it was that guy after all. He's actually the son of someone my father used to know when he was younger. He dropped out of university because he couldn't deal with the social situation there, and then he became a recluse. Now he's 39 years old and has never worked a single day in his life. I only found out all these details after I turned him down, and it's kind of concerning. Apparently, he's looking for a wife who can help him with his daily life, like taking care of him because he's worried about his future. He's never had a job, and he's looking for someone to manage his life for him. That's basically his profile.
Another unemployed guy? And taking care of him? What does that even mean? Sounds like a lot of responsibility for nothing in return.
But it seems he really did fall in love with you.
What?
Apparently, when he first saw my photo, he said that my face was just his type, but I was a bit too old for him. Then he found out I have a sister who looks exactly like me, and that's when things changed. He decided that you were the one for him, and that's how you became his choice. It sounds ridiculous, right? But it's true. That's the reason you ended up being the one he wanted.
Well, if that's the case, why not just marry Rachel instead?
Rachel is unreachable. She's been out of contact for a while now, so that's impossible.
I don't want to marry some guy who smells like he's been working in a trash heap all day long. And he's saying I have to go to work starting tomorrow. He's insisting that I start working right away. I can't believe it. Emma, please, you have to help me. Can you take over for me?
Wait a minute, I can't just take over for you. I've got my own responsibilities. Right now, I have an online meeting with the overseas product development team, and I need to focus on that. I don't have time to switch places with you.
What?
The time difference between us is such a hassle. It's like we're working in two completely different time zones, and it's making everything even more stressful. I have to be on top of my game, and I don't even have time to help with your problems right now.
Emma?
All right, then. I'm really sorry, but I've got to go. I'll talk to you later.
Wait, Emma, no!
My parents divorced several years ago, and they each live in separate places now. While we still maintain basic contact, the family is essentially scattered, and the situation has created a sense of distance between us. It's not that we don't care about one another, but we've become so detached over the years that it's as if we're leading separate lives now. The communication is minimal, only when necessary, and the closeness we once shared is now a distant memory. This environment, where our family is fractured, has had a significant influence on my younger sister. She's always been free-spirited and reckless, living without much consideration for consequences. To put it in a positive light, you might say she's a woman of many loves, someone who's always seeking excitement and new experiences. That's the kind of person she is, always chasing after the thrill of something new. But the reality, as most people would see it, is much darker and far more cynical. In truth, she's a woman who delights in stealing other people's partners. Her idea of love isn't one of deep connection or mutual respect. It's more about the conquest, the thrill of taking someone away from their spouse or significant other. She doesn't seem to care about the harm she causes, nor does she seem to understand the emotional damage her actions leave behind. For her, it's all about what she can get in the moment, with no regard for the consequences that might follow. She's the kind of person who enjoys drama, attention, and the chaos that comes from breaking apart other people's relationships. And this behavior eventually led her to a man who, in a way, mirrors her own dysfunctional view of relationships. She ended up with a 39-year-old man who's a shut-in, someone who is completely withdrawn from society and refuses to engage in any meaningful way with the world. He's a hikikomori, a man who has chosen to stay indoors, cut off from social life, and remains entirely dependent on others for his care and survival. It's a strange match, given how she's always sought excitement and passion, but for some reason this relationship seemed to hold her attention for a time. However, this choice has created a complicated web of emotions and obligations for my sister. She wants to escape. She wants to leave him behind and return to a life where she isn't tied down by this man who has nothing to offer. She regrets ever getting involved with him, and now she's trapped in a relationship she never wanted to begin with. But despite her wishes to leave him, there is a complication: our father. Our father sees this man, her husband, as someone of value. To him, the man was not just any random person, but the son of someone he considers a benefactor, a person who helped him in the past and whose debt he feels obligated to repay. As a result, even though my sister wants out of this relationship, my father has made it clear that he cannot allow the divorce to happen easily. There's too much history involved, too much debt that is yet to be settled in his eyes. It's frustrating for my sister. She feels like she has no escape, no way out of this marriage that she never truly wanted. My father's insistence on protecting the image of this man as a family ally means that my sister has been forced to stay in this toxic relationship. Even though it's causing her misery, it's like she's been trapped in a cage and there's no way to break free, no matter how much she wants to run away. And to make matters worse, the situation has become one of surveillance and control. My sister feels like she's being watched every moment of the day. Every move she makes, every decision she attempts to make, is scrutinized by both our father and her husband. There's no privacy, no space for her to be her own person. She's forced to take care of him and cater to his needs as though she were his servant, not his wife. From the smallest tasks to the biggest responsibilities, she's expected to do it all. And if she falters, there's punishment in the form of guilt, blame, and pressure. My sister has become a caretaker in a relationship where she should have been able to live freely, but instead she's trapped in a role she never agreed to. There's no relief for her, no reprieve from the constant demands of the people around her, and even when she tries to distance herself or take a moment to breathe, she's always pulled back in, forced to comply with expectations that don't allow for her own happiness. The pressure is overwhelming and it's breaking her down piece by piece. Then one day, a bombshell announcement came out of nowhere. My sister was pregnant. I was shocked when I heard the news. It was completely unexpected, and to be honest, it felt almost surreal. The timing couldn't have been worse, and the situation surrounding the pregnancy only made things more complicated. With everything going on between her and her husband, the last thing anyone expected was for a new life to enter the picture. Her pregnancy felt like a cruel twist of fate. It was as if the universe had decided to throw one more challenge her way, just when she thought she couldn't handle any more. For someone like her, who has never been ready to fully commit to a relationship, let alone raise a child, this news hits hard. It wasn't a joyous occasion. It was a moment of added pressure, a reminder of the responsibilities she would have to face in the near future. As I processed the news, I couldn't help but feel a mixture of emotions. On one hand, I knew how much my sister had struggled to find her place in the world, and I felt sorry that she was now going to be tied to a man she didn't love, carrying the weight of his responsibilities as well as her own. On the other hand, I couldn't deny that the pregnancy changed everything, that it was a pivotal moment in her life that would force her to confront her situation head-on, whether she was ready or not. As strange as it may sound, I couldn't help but think that this news, despite its shock, was almost like an eerie premonition. It felt like the kind of story you'd hear around the time of Halloween, the season when people tell ghost stories and reflect on the dead. It was an unsettling feeling, as though we were standing on the edge of something we couldn't control. The supernatural undertones of the situation made it seem as if we were caught in the midst of a tale that would end in something far darker than any of us could have predicted. This pregnancy, unexpected as it was, might just be the catalyst for a series of events that would change everything for my sister. Whether she would be able to escape her marriage, regain control of her life, or face the consequences of her actions remained to be seen. But one thing was clear: her life would never be the same again.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.